uh, discussing these issues, because when we start talking about this,
Spiritually grown, right?
yeah, spiritually grown. No, we ain't talk. even though real conversations will come up, but you know it as well as I do in the Christian church, and even in a lot of these congregations that we go to. A lot of times we feel intimidated by what somebody else knows, or how we see somebody else's spiritual development,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're afraid to speak out about where we are in our spiritual development, which means that those things go unknown and are hidden. And when they are hidden, then they wind up manifesting at a later date,
Mm.
because those things are not being dealt with. So, like in a Christian church, hey, I'm blessed. How you doing? I'm blessed and I'm highly favored. Ain't no different in the Hebrew community, because people are like, oh, shalom. You know what I'm saying? All praises to the Most High. It's the same thing.
Right.
So at some point, and let me give you an example of it. When we start talking about and this is just an example that makes the most sense to me. I could probably use a bunch of other examples, but when we start dealing with, our sisters to say that they love their sisters, but they have, their hearts are in this situation where every time polygyny or more than one wife come up,
You said the
they
word.
yeah, exactly. They out of pocket, and they out of pocket because they're looking at it from one aspect. That one Negro that broke their heart or whatever.
And let me say this real quick,
Uh,
because I'm glad you brought that up. Um, hey, and Sister Nina, you can call in on Zoom if you want. Definitely like to have you on here. If you have time, call in on Zoom right now. The number's up there on the screen. Uh, uh what I my advice to our women, because our women do not listen. You have really, you got to understand the level of deception in Babylon, and um the it comes back to the deliverance again and realizing what's really going on. My mother, my mother came over here and she found out, that I went out there with Pastor Dow and everything, and then the polygyny thing came up and she sent me some message. Look, I sent her. It was funny because Pastor Dow had did a video um, on that, and he said a couple things. He was like, "Dude, all the majority of the people who wrote the book were polygynous. So if you're saying that's a sin, God and I." So I sent her like 3 or 4 scriptures, and she said, "All right, I'm gonna get back to you." I ain't heard back from her. It's been like a week, and it's like,
hey,
boy, go ahead,
hey,
Op.
come on now. See, this is the part when we start talking about real talk. And the one thing I do like about the show is we do get into real talk, and it may hurt some people out there, or it may be a shock to your system, but just think about the reality of it. Now, you already talked about seven. The book talk about 7 women and 1 man. Just give me your name. I got my own money. Yada yada yada. Okay, okay. Let's keep it real. If you think that, let's say, out of, let's say, 50% of the women in the congregation are single and don't have anybody, but the men are righteous men. I ain't talking about no flubs. I'm talking about righteous men. If you dealing with a situation like that, and you got these women, and the reality is you act like they married to the Most High, and that their natural inclination to desire a touch, and or um, someone dealing with them I ain't talking about a physical. I'm even talking about an emotional, intimate way.
Right.
Is that person is not dealing in reality. They're watching all these women that's married and got a covering, and that they emotionally cover them as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that they desire that. So what do you think is going to happen when people try to pretend that does not happen? So what I'm saying is that I'm not telling you that I have all the answers, but what I am saying is this: we need to be able to start having adult conversations about
And
it.
not
We have to be able to,
yeah, and not fly off into emotionalism and irrationality.
or
Exactly,
or or
you're right.
resorting back. or resorting back to when you saw this didn't work, or you try to bring situations in the Bible where it didn't work, or you try to, come up with how you feel about a situation because you were hurt in a situation that had nothing to do with getting your mind right, had nothing to do with being uh uh that your mind is now embracing a culture and not the way that you were raised. And so the thing is we have to start asking ourselves honestly and honest. We really do need to research the men as well as the women, because I'm gonna promise you, this is not going directly to the women. This is like all of us, because men have to understand and research themselves of why they're doing what they're doing as well. Because when you got a righteous man that's talking about building something and being able to righteously cover somebody versus being lustful in his loins, just like the women have to be able to deal with, the situation that what stops them.
Right.
Because not everybody's saying, I'm not saying that everybody need to or have to, be in polygamous relationships. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is for, if we don't start dealing with the realness of how people feel and desires that people have. How many people up in the church right now that saved, sanctified, or claim to be, what I'm saying, sleeping with somebody from, dropatoe.com or whatever. So my point is that we have to take the mask off. We got to start dealing with these things and correcting it. If it's a spiritual issue, we need to deal with it spiritually. But don't um, down somebody because they're not in a position or in a place to understand. So we need to start having these conversations, and that's what I want to throw in
Right.
there.
Right. Hey, speaking real, for your question, yeah, we could address that. You could call in too if you want. So, and again, if you want to call in, you got question, comment, concern, um, uh, you can. This is the number. You just download the Zoom app and put that 9-digit number in there, and we're good. No, that was Brother Elia on there, Akalaya, Elder Elia on there talking. Um, that's who that was for those of you asking. Uh, let's see. Um, so let's see. Carrie, I am not on Facebook. Okay, so let's see. What does a man need? Why does so? Somebody asked, why does a man need 3 wives in America? So let's go into that real quick. Good question. So if you look around, I don't know whether you're a man or a woman on there. Speaking real, if you look around, and like me as a man, I know. Now I never cheated on my wife, okay, but a lot of men struggle with lust, okay. If you just making it real basic, men have a higher sex drive than women, okay. Um, there's more there's more women than men. When you look at this Hebraic movement, and like me particularly, I've been boots on the ground. I've seen this thing with the men. When you factor in homosexuality, that takes out a big chunk of our men. And what they've done with the homosexual movement is found a way to exploit a man's sex drive that God has given him and used it to destroy him. Okay, when you look at the number of our men in prison or killed in violence, okay, when you look at that, and then you look at the other group of our men who have STDs or who are just womanizers out there sleeping around, not taking care of the women, and then you narrow it down to the amount of our men who are in the truth with their minds right, you damn near got rid of. So then when you go to these Hebrew events, all you see is a bunch of women and a couple men. Damn near 7 or 8 to 1, like the book says. So going back to you look, and I mean we could go all into it from every single aspect. You look at how long a man's sex drive stays strong. Like men can shoot seed all the way to like 80, 100 years old, whatever. Okay? And then you look at all these uncovered women. All these women with no man in their life. All these women out there by themselves. You see what I'm saying? Then you look in the book. And then it begins to become painfully obvious. Okay? So let's see. All right, let's see. Let me in. Okay. So, Elia, I'm gonna bring you back in. Okay, I see you got your hand up. I got you. I'm gonna bring you back in. All right, let's see. Unmute. All right, Elia, you're on.
All right, shalom. Okay, reason why I want to come back because I was going to type something, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit this on directly
There it is.
because see, this is where the hypocrisy comes in. Again, if you stop and look at why that question was asked in the first place, why does a man need three wives while he's in America? First off, we're getting ready to separate ourselves from this system and everything that they taught us. That's number one. Number two, I'm ready to hit you dead between the eyes with the reality of this. I'm gonna ask you the question. The question is why? Because when I said let's keep it real, why is it that if you think that a woman's desires shut off, because you touched on it, Doc, but why do you think a woman's desires shut off? Because she's now following the Most High. So when you're talking about those numbers that you're talking about, right? When we're talking about 4 or 5 women to one man, and again, we're not talking about lust dolls, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not looking for another wife. But this is one thing I will say is this: in the event that the opportunity presents itself, it's not going to be from a lust standpoint. It's going to be from me seeing a sister in a particular situation where, you know what I'm saying, that she's desiring covering. You know, I find that that's something that I'm able to do. But the thing is that people want to demonize that because they think that it's lust driven.
Right.
And so if you have the opportunity to cover your people, because if I'm willing to give to my people without any sexual encounter, if I'm willing to let people come into my home and things like that. But the question that she raised was, why do you need it? Let me ask you a question. If you didn't have somebody, right, and you moved on, now some people can say they're good. Some women can shut their hormones down, but the majority of people are not like that. So let me ask you, any of the emotional things that you desire, any of the covering that you desire, any of it is having someone to help raise your children in a righteous way, do you now want to throw that out the window because the actual physical numbers do not present themselves? Or do you hate your sisters just that much that you're going to say, if you have somebody, I got mine? See, that's what I'm talking about. We need to start having serious conversations, because each and every time that we even bring this up on the show, you've got the people coming out. And I can understand if the question is being raised because, there are some misunderstandings, or everything that you've seen brings a bad light to it. But the one thing that you have, like you said, down there straightway, some of the people got this thing right. So the question is that if you can see it being done righteously, why is it that you always have to pull out of your back pocket a negative experience when it's really something that's just deep down in your heart? Because it bothers you even when it's not dealing with you. It could be somebody else and you got a problem with it. So again, let's start having adult conversations about these things.
Okay, and real fast, what we're asking, because against all odds fours, you put, again, what we're asking, it says a bishop. So are you saying does that apply to bishops or leaders? And are you implying that, so if you're not a bishop or leader, you're saying we can have multiple wives? Or so why are you putting that in there? That's what I'm asking. Okay. Well, all right. So go ahead, Eli.
Okay. I mean, seriously, the reason why I'm trying to frame this in a different way is because every time the subject comes up, it's still framed in a situation in which it's the man that just so lust filled that he just needs and wants more women.
Right.
That's not even the situation with me. But I do see the situation with our women and our sisters. Are we able to love more than one woman? Do we find other women attractive? Yes, we do. Can we keep to ourselves? Absolutely, because it's actually it's a larger burden and more of a responsibility because you got to be able to provide for all of them. That's something that comes, especially if you're a righteous man. That is something that
Okay. Hey, hold on one sec, Eli. So you said a bishop is a pastor and Pastor Dow is a bishop. So what I'm going to do is when he comes on the show, I will let him discuss that. But what I'm asking, and you could come on and ask him, but what I'm asking you're speaking real, is do you agree with multiple wives? So type that in yes or no, or you could even call into the show. Okay? But do you agree with multiple wives? Elia, go ahead. I'll hand it back over to you.
No, man, like I said, you know, it's not about beating a dead horse.
Right.
I just said that we need to start having the conversation because
right. And a rational conversation.
The reason why it's coming up is that usually when it's brought up, it seems to be brought up in the terms that a man is just looking, just can't control his loins. And there's some righteous brothers out here that is not the case. But there's a lot of women that are not looking at the reality of the situation. And the reality
men.
Hold on. And let me tell you something. These are the same women. These are the same women that when they was in the world, right? They didn't have no problem being with a man that was either married or trying to win a man that they knew was dating somebody else. They needed to throw that thing on them. They need to be better than that other woman to secure this man.
Right.
And so the thing is that they try to pretend like, women aren't capable of sharing, so to speak. You know what I mean? But in the world, that was no issue because the statistics tell you what that looks like. But it was not done in a righteous way. And so the thing is that when we're talking about doing it in a righteous manner, because I know a whole lot of people that was, you get inside a woman's head and they twisting and running and doing all kinds of things, right? But now you're talking about righteous men trying to cover and take care of the people out there that don't have that covering. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that when the conversation happens, all those that still have an issue with it, then those are the people that really gonna find themselves on the out.
Yeah.
Because that's all there is. Because this isn't about sex. This isn't about physical.
Right.
This really is. This is not that conversation. But every time it's about that.
And again, this is another aspect of community and brotherhood or sisterhood, where, again, getting rid of that Babylonian divisive mind that's designed, they taking crafty counsel to cut you off from being a nation. If some of our women could have like 8, 9 kids, think of your grandmother and stuff. I know in my family, like we 12 kids. You get 3 wives under one man having, 8 kids. In one generation, you're going to take over as a nation. And they know that. This is documented in COINTELPRO. They got, what's his name? What's that president name? Nixon. On tape talking about this stuff. He's on there shocked. They're reproducing like this? Well, we got to do something. They program your ass.
See, here's the thing, here's the thing. We've been out of Torah, and now we're trying to raise a new generation in Torah. Mm-hmm. We're trying to raise a new generation. So the thing is that our children, our daughters, are not going to have the issue that the women that's having a problem with now are speaking. They probably, many of them have babies by different fathers. But if you're raised in Torah, you're not going to see that.
Okay, hold on one sec. And speaking real, here's how, if you want to call in, this is what you do. Hold on. what I'm going to do is, all you got to do is download the Zoom app on your phone, the Zoom video conferencing app, and just put that 9-digit number in, and just put your name in there so I know it's you coming in, and I'll bring you right on, and we could all talk. Okay? It ain't gonna be no shouting match though. We'll give you the floor. All right? So yeah, that's how you do it. So you could come on and we could. All right. All right. Go, I'm sorry, Eli. You could go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, like I said, man, this thing isn't something that I personally desire. It ain't something that I'm going down. This is not something I'm throwing down people's throats or saying, you got to accept this, or this is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm literally saying is that if you're talking about making these things happen, but you got an issue with someone else operating in that fashion, you're still up inside of their home, their bedroom, inside of what you consider to be lawful or unlawful based off of what you desire for someone else. That's what I'm saying. And if you're going to come and be involved in conversation, because these things are going to come up when you start living in a community. And I don't want anybody to feel it, whether you don't want that a part of your life, that they're only outs, or if it is a part of your life, that they're only outs. See, the conversation really needs to be had about the realities of what this looks like, and just take it away from the aspect. I mean, if y'all want to split the book, but it's still about having the conversation. And every time the conversation comes up, it's not coming from a righteous standpoint. It's coming from feelings. It's coming from, past hurts. It's coming from, but again, the world can be dipped in porn. The world can be living out in the club, and you can listen to Beyonce, Women Run the World. You can sit there and all these things you don't have a problem with.
And see, and the thing is, I'll tell you something else too that drives this is, I'm gonna be honest, dude. 90 or more percent, 98% of women and people out there, y'all have not even been around a righteous man. And I'm telling you, even in this Hebraic awakening, it's very righteous men are very scarce, and most women, I'll be honest, when they come around, they don't even they've been programmed to run righteous men off. Babylon programs you. You're demonically infused from Babylon to crush righteous men and go against them. The demons in your head and all that stuff raging in your head runs righteous men off. Hey, speaking real, I see you're in there. You got to hit the audio option on your you got to hit the audio option on your phone or whatever you're using to allow the Zoom to use your audio, and then I could bring you in. So I'll just wait for you to do that. So yeah, the world is just it programs these women and the men to just crush righteous, masculine, authoritative men. I've seen it. And I got people who could co-sign that I don't play around. I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's the same thing, Pastor Dow, dude. When I began to link up with him, man, the people and the phone calls and the emails and the DMs, and then I go out there on the land. Me and my wife are up in his house with his 3 wives, watching them function, watching them operate, living around them, and I never seen so much peace in my life.
Hey, can I ask
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Maisha and I had this conversation, because she asked me, she says, is it possible for you to cover another woman and her children without being intimate? And I told her, absolutely.
Right.
I certainly could.
Yeah.
I certainly could.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question that I asked her, and that I'm asking the audience, is this. When you have a righteous man right? That is being loving, nurturing, teaching, and caring towards you and your children, but don't desire or hint that he wants anything from you. What physical emotions do you then have towards that man? Because the reason why I brought that up is because one of the patterns that we see even inside a Christian church is that the pastor is seen as the leader, and there's something spiritual about him that they see, and it's almost innate that a woman wants to connect with that thing, and they only know how to do that in a physical way. So I asked for, like, yeah, put it in the chat, honest commentary. If you see that this man is not after you in any such fashion, but he's showing and exhibiting all of those things that you've ever desired in a man to be to you and your children, are you able to shut those natural emotions? That's why I said have adult conversations. Ask yourself that question. What
Right.
do y'all have to say?
And just to tell you, because I was talking to Elder Rufus, and he was saying the way the because he's done an extensive study on biblical marriage. The way the marriage is set up and arranged is according to the man. So you can set it up and have a woman who conjugal rights and you having sex with her is not even on the table. You just covering her and her children, and there's an agreement there. I mean, it could be set like that. See, people like this is what we're talking about, some heavy stuff, and like, man,
Okay.
Elijah, it's a good thing of what he said, because we need to have an adult talk about it, because people are missing the destructiveness of the Christian Babylonian Greco-Roman mindset of
Okay.
homosexuality. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah. Let me hit this up because I'm seeing some of the comments that's coming up.
Okay, hey,
All right.
Elijah, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 sec. Um, speaking real, can you hear me?
Hey, Shalom, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to have the
Hey,
opportunity to come
turn
on.
it up a little bit more. Speak up a little bit more.
I want to
There
thank
we
you for
go. That's
allowing.
that's
I
better.
want
So,
to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on the show. I really appreciate it.
and real
Um,
fast, and just I just want everybody, Elia and Sister Speaking Real. Let's have a dialogue. We could get emotional, but let's let everybody have the floor and talk. Sister Speaking Real, you got the floor, so go ahead.
well, I just want to say that I am a married woman, and I have been married for 18 years, and I'm not in a polygamous marriage, and I am very familiar with the straight way ministry according to what I've seen online. And I just have a question. This is all I'm asking.
Okay.
I have heard it spoken several times. This one scripture in Timothy's, First Timothy, chapter 2, verse 11, by Pastor Dow and other ministers, saying, "Let the women learn in silence with all subjection to their husbands,
Uh huh.
and that women should not teach." So that's very pushed at with that ministry. But in the next chapter, chapter 3, it talks about a pastor and a bishop. A bishop is a pastor. And I don't understand how a man can have three wives. Now, according to Torah, I agree. It is permissible for a man to have multiple wives and not to diminish the first wife's status. But if you are walking in this new dispensation, you're supposed to have one wife if you are running an assembly.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, can I make a comment?
Yeah. All right. So,
Absolutely.
Elia, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Okay. Um. Again, we're just having a conversation. So, in that, in everything that the Most High tells us. Now, granted, anything that I say is just merely a thought process that comes across from me. But the thing that I would say that anything that the Most High tells us or instructs us to do, there's a reason behind it. And when you understand the reason behind it, it then makes sense. So when you take on multiple wives, and at least when we're talking about in the ancient, the responsibilities of what you had towards Israel itself was definitely a weighty matter. And so when you have multiple wives, what you find is that in order not to take away from those wives and not be able to deal with them equally in your time and in your responsibility, then that would be defrauding them and or defrauding your office. So if your office is not, because now we're dealing with, we're in a different age, but again, it's about trying to understand the purpose of a thing. Many people that don't understand why we shouldn't be eating pork, right? Because it tastes so good. Their mind, in their mind, without them understanding why, they're still going to have an issue with it. But if you understand that those things carry worms and they're meant to clean up the earth and it's very damaging to your body, then it's a little bit easier to accept. So without saying that I am the authority in that matter, I would tell anybody that has an issue, go back and look at why something was told to us.
Okay. Um, but yeah, sister, speaking real, like I said, what I'ma do, like some of the stuff I'm seeing in the comments, they're saying, yeah, the Levitical priesthood, they had multiple wives, and like
But
now Pastor Dow, like I said, he does call himself a pastor, not a bishop. I do understand you said a pastor is a bishop. That I think that would be where I would have to focus on, and what I would have to discuss with him.
um, I wanted to say something else. I was
Okay.
just saying, if you are very animated that a woman has to be quiet and not teach him a man, then you have to take that same teacher, which was Paul, who was an apostle,
Mm-hmm.
and if he said a man, if he's going to run an assembly, has to be the husband of one wife, then you got to take that all the way around across the board. I feel like you can't pick and choose what part of the epistles you're going to follow.
Okay. And like so again, with it, I think what it's going to end up coming down to is the biblical Greek or Hebraic definition of bishop and pastor. Okay,
Uh,
Okay.
that's
okay.
so that and like I said, I would ask Pastor Dowell, hey, what's your understanding of the word bishop and pastor? Because that's what it's gonna um, and that's what
Well,
somebody
to
else said.
me, to me, he personifies a bishop because he has more than one assembly. Straightway is throughout this whole nation. So we had to look at a model of what a bishop looked like today. He will be the epitome of that. So
Okay.
my only qualm is that here I've seen his beautiful wife, Sister Cal. She's beautiful and she has a lot of virtuous characteristics. I don't understand why he had to pick up two more, and even one of his wives being a divorcee. Because what I read in scripture, it says that if a woman divorced her husband, she's supposed to remain unmarried. She's not
Uh,
supposed to pick up a new husband. So if who I've been married almost 18 years, if I leave my husband, I'm not supposed to go pick up another husband unless my husband died. Then I'm permitted to marry
Well,
again.
no, 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 no. You there what you're confusing putting someone away, which is a separation, and you're confusing that with giving them a bill of divorcement, which releases them from the ketubah or the contract that you form with them. And again, that's word you got to study and define the words that you're talking about, because in the translation they mix those words. So if you
Okay.
put a wife away, because what the men were doing was because the wives had pissed them off or whatever, they'd separate from them, but they were still under the contract. Then they'd marry another wife, and that wife would be over there burning with lust or whatever, but she's still under that contract. So he told them to release them from it so that they can move on. Okay?
Okay.
And all I'm saying is just a word study. And like I said, what I'm going to do, but I already kind of know, I'm going to study the difference of the word pastor and the word bishop. And I'm going to call Pastor Dow, or I'm sure one of the brothers will reach out to me and clarify. Go ahead, Eli.
Hey, no, I appreciate the caller and I appreciate the concern, or even the question that was brought up. But this is one thing that when we start dealing, or when we ever choose to have this open discussion, one of the things that we definitely don't want to do is start making it about a person, because we're still trying to deal with the issue at hand. And again, the reason why I say this is because, like I said, in reading the comments, you'll get somebody in here that's talking about what they personally feel. I'm talking about, the men, and maybe some men in the group, or saying,
Right.
well, you know what, I can take care of another woman and not be emotionally attached to her or sexually desiring her. Hey, bravo. But we're talking about us as a people in general. And the thing is that just like in the Christian church, what happens is when you say I'm saved and sanctified, at that moment, there's a pretentious and a pretending that your physical body and your mental, the things that you deal with, are no longer valid. And in order to grow into a place where you can actually spiritually and physically be in a place, but we're not all there.
Mm-hmm.
And so along this path of being there, unless you're willing to deal with it and the remedy for it, then you're going to wind up in situations where, let's say that you've got 20 women that don't have a man, right? And they're just as sweet as they can be. But when them loins start burning, and they're looking towards some of those righteous men, and they're gonna find the weakest one that, as far as I'm concerned, spiritually,
right.
You know what I'm saying, where those two can go hook up behind
Right.
But see, now you're in sin.
Right.
See, now you're in sin when the Most High set up a way for you not to be.
Okay.
So,
hey, all right. So y'all hold on one second. I'm gonna bring in Jibra Ali. So I'm gonna bring you in real quick. I see you got your hand up. So hold on one sec. Can you hear me, Ali?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shalom. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm great. I wanted to comment on what the sister just asked about, and just kind of put this out there so you can see. So that chapter that she's talking about is about qualifications for the bishop. Agreed?
Right.
It's a qualifications chapter. And so I'll ask it like this. This is the way we say it over here. Because it says he must be the wife of one woman, correct?
Yes.
So here's the thing. So let me ask you this. This is kind of a question to get you thinking about it.
Okay.
If I had $1 million, wouldn't I be considered a millionaire?
Yeah.
But check this out. If I had $2 million, am I not still qualified to be a millionaire?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So
what if those scriptures, what it's saying is, it's just giving you the minimum of what a bishop needs to be. It's not saying be a husband of one wife only, like no more. What it's saying is, look, if you don't even have a wife, you can't lead a community. So you have to understand the concept of being compassionate and loving and leading a family, children, and things like that. So if you're not a husband of one wife, you don't qualify to be a bishop. It's not cutting it off at one.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's saying, listen, you want to be a bishop, you must be the husband of one wife. That's what it's saying. So if you have 2 or 3, that doesn't negate you, just like it doesn't negate you from being a millionaire if you have 3 or 4 million, correct?
All right. So real fast.
That's what's up.
All right. And like I said, y'all, I see y'all in there. I'm getting ready to bring you in, Shema, y'all. I want y'all. I want everybody. I'm letting everybody's conducting themselves in a righteous way. So I'm gonna bring Shema in. Just everybody, give each person time to bring out what they gotta say. So
Shalom.
Shemaiah,
Thanks.
I'm gonna bring you in. So here you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're loud and clear. Go ahead.
Uh, one thing that I noticed, in this awakening, a lot of people have that westernized mindset where, it's one man and one woman. But when you look in the Torah, which is our instruction book, Deuteronomy or Genesis through Deuteronomy, you'll see our forefathers having multiple wives. So it's almost like a lot of people cannot accept their own heritage.
Well, and
Okay.
yeah, and that's exactly because that's what we were. It like, and there's even I'm gonna be honest. Like, let me, cause I really got to chime in and say this. Even the past 3 or 4 weeks have been like mind blowing for me, realizing my, like, coming to the realization of what capitalism really is. Capitalism is the worship of money, and that's what we've been raised. Like, we're raised to think that I got to start a business and make money off people, and really, you're supposed to start a commune, man. There's some mind blowing stuff that I'm gonna be bringing out on capitalism. When I was up in New York in front of the stock exchange, I saw on the stock exchange, like, they got naked children and men that are naked and all this Satanism on there, dude. It's the worship, literally, of that's the God of this nation, man. And when I began to see it everywhere, it's mind blowing. But it's the same with this marriage topic. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Hey, if any of y'all, I'm sorry, hold on one sec. If any of y'all want to speak on a thing, like I said, I got speaking real, and all y'all, the other people spoke already. Y'all are unmuted, but if any of y'all want to speak, raise your hand on there. Shalima, y'all, or whatever. Go ahead. You continue.
So yeah, like I was saying, it's like we have trouble accepting our own heritage. But when you read the Torah and you follow it, it's designed for you to be successful. Okay, and when you are successful, you grow. You grow spiritually and even financially. You just grow. If you look at Straightway and what Pastor Dow is doing, they're growing spiritually, but even financially, they're probably growing. Building, they got materials, they're building. So it's almost the same thing in the house. If you have a good woman, she's going to build up that home. She's not going to tear it down.
Right.
So she's building up that home. It may come to the point where, you're going to need another woman to handle all these resources that are coming in. Just because if you're following that Torah, it's just going to make you grow. It's going to make you excel.
Okay.
So,
good point.
Can you guys still hear me?
What was that? All right. So what I'm gonna do real fast is, like I said, if y'all want to speak, just hit the raise hand button on there. Elijah has his hand raised, so go ahead, Elijah.
Hey, shalom, shalom. All right, so it's okay. Some people just not going to get this or understand the purpose and the practicality because they can't get past their understanding of what they're reading and or the benefits and all the way around regarding this matter. But I did want to chime in to say this. Again, one of the reasons why the conversations need to be had. Now, this is something I discussed with my Isha. And one of the most important things is this. Any man that is still in spiritual development, until you learn how to love the one that you have, learn how to be a man and a manager of your household, and until you learn all of those qualities in washing her with the word and gaining her trust, see, women are designed to be submissive to that thing. So that is most important. If you have one, then learn how to deal with that one to bring her in as one flesh. And then if the opportunity presents itself, or if it's something that strikes the individual, then you deal with that. But until you
Right.
learn how to,
Right.
until you functionally
Yeah.
learn how to deal with the one that you have,
Right.
you asking for a disaster.
Right. And real fast, sister, I see where you said there were multiple wives, but there were always problems. That I know that argument has been brought up before, but what you have to realize is Adam and Eve, that was a monogamous relationship. That's how sin entered the world. So that's not, you can't stand on that. That's nothing. I mean, dude, hey, look, spiritual combat, our main thing is marriage counseling, and I see single marriages where it's MMA up in that mug. So that's not again, that's why Elijah said he wants an adult conversation, and his meaning of that was you need to bring concrete evidence, not silly arguments and hearsay. He wants something solid. Like if you're gonna bring something, bring it solid. Okay. All right, sister. Speaking real, I'm gonna unmute you and hold on. Well, you muted yourself, so just unmute. There you go, and you have the floor.
I want to say thank you for that commentary from that one brother that gave the illustration about being a millionaire. But I want to also bring another scripture where Paul precepts himself in Titus chapter 1, verse 6. It says, if any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accuser of riot or unruly, for a bishop must be blameless. So once again, I feel like it's referencing one wife, not multiple wives.
Okay.
And I just see that illustration in the garden with Adam and Eve. The Most High did not put multiple wives in the garden. He could have, but he didn't.
So, sister, are you saying in Torah it says if you have multiple wives, you're in sin, or are you saying in Torah? Because this is the argument.
No, I'm not saying that. I feel like if you're in leadership,
you feel like, or do you feel like, or are you saying the word says it? That's what I'm asking you. And then hold on one sec, because I'm gonna let you respond. Hey, Elder Rufus, I'd like you to, if you could, if you have time, I know you're a busy man, but if you could, Elder Rufus, can you, if you have the Zoom app on your phone, can you call into that number and come on? Because I'd like to bring you in to get your some information from you on this topic, some input from you on this topic. Sister, speaking real, you got the floor.
No, I'm not saying that a man is in sin if he has multiple wives according to Torah. I'm saying that as Paul gives us the illustrations of what qualifies a bishop, if a man is in leadership, if he's running an assembly, he has to be the husband of one wife.
Okay, and can you read that verse to me again where you were saying where it reiterated? Can you read that to me again?
Yes, sir. It's in Titus. 1 second.
Yeah, Elder Rufus, just download the Zoom app on whatever device you have, and then just throw that number in. It don't take that long. But if I understand if you're busy, it's cool. It's and it's just audio, you know. Yeah, Zoom video conferencing. Whatever device, phone, iPhone, Android.
It was Titus chapter 1, verse 6. It says, if any be blameless, the husband of one wife. And then it goes on to verse 7, describing a bishop.
Okay. Now, so you're saying that scripture there.
I also want to say one more thing.
Okay.
This is my opinion. This is me talking, not just from scripture.
Okay.
I feel like here in America,
Uh-huh.
multiple wives is not conducive. I feel like majority of us who are walking in this truth have just woken up. We
Mhm.
haven't been woke that long. And I feel like we need to be seeking the Most High to fill us with the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, to help mortify these sinful members in our bodies. If a brother is struggling with lust, he needs to pray for deliverance. He needs to pray that the Ruach fill him to get a hold of that.
Right.
I feel like a lot of us are not balling out here or have the means to support multiple households. I feel like we need to just, this is me talking. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I feel like a man should just learn to govern his wife and his children, or the children he has made outside of the marriage or outside when he was single.
Okay.
I just feel like here in America, it's not conducive. Now, if we were overseas in a third world country where they've been practicing it for years, I can understand the cultural
Okay.
practice.
So what I would, I to a certain extent, I do agree with you because I've seen in the Hebrew community where, all right, hold on one sec. Yeah, I've seen in the Hebrew community where um, people are getting into this for the wrong reasons. Their mind isn't where it needs to be. But again, I gotta say, being boots on the ground in Straightway with my wife, kids, spending time around Pastor Dow and all three of his wives. I mean, me and Koya were like blown away, changed, um, very encouraged. That we really were blessed just watching their interaction, how they function. And again, they have their own community or whatever established. They have a biblical, because I think what you meant was we have to go somewhere where they have a culture that's built around that. The Greco-Roman sinful beast culture we have over here in this country is not built around that. But the culture that they have built there on Straightway is a culture that's very conducive to that type of lifestyle because the women and men alike have practiced deliverance. They've gotten their minds right. They're aligned. They're righteous people. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring a lion and then Jabril Ali. I'll bring you in next. Okay. And like I said, just raise your hand if you want to talk. Go ahead, Eli. You on?
No, bro, you can go ahead and get somebody else, man, because I see how easy it is for us to move on from, like, even though these things seem to be really important when people are trying to align what they know in scripture to be what they see. But like I said, it's merely about having the conversation. And so I'm glad that the conversation is
Right,
being had.
right. It's a good
So,
conversation.
yeah, it's a great conversation that's being had. But we'll find ourselves focused on a particular person and not us as Israel, or we'll find ourselves focused on situations that we know of that things didn't work, or trying to
Right,
find biblical
right.
excuses.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that if you get back to the nuts and bolts of why the conversation needs to take place, is this: if we're talking about moving together, or you're going into your little Goshen, or whatever, where you're saying, I'm not gonna want my children raised by these people. I don't want my children. I don't want the vaccines. I don't want the food. I need to put myself around like-minded people. Well, now when you start splitting hairs, we still need to deal with those things that we suffer, not suffer. That's part of the human experience. When you're able to have honest conversations about where we are as a people, yes, there are people that are higher level, there are people that are lower level, but the conversation in reality needs to continue,
All right.
because it's important not to get sidetracked in trying to prove is it or is it not. The more of the question
Right.
is, let's say that if none of this, we're not arguing over whether it is or whether it isn't. I guarantee you, just out of human nature by itself, I've known men. I've known when I was growing up in the church. I knew men that were very, what I call, consider upstanding men of the cloth, and knew them on like a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
So to watch even them fall
To lust, yeah.
And not that they went and looked for it. It
But
was somebody came to them.
right,
And so what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter what level you're on. The
right,
realities of who we are and what we're dealing with. Oh, well, you just must have had a
right.
bad spirit on you. No, no, no. The question is that how do you honestly deal with these things, and why did Yah set up
Well,
or
yeah,
why did he set things up the way that he
right.
did?
And
It was to be able
okay,
to make people honest. No,
right,
it was to not have whores in the daughters of Zion.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was for it to be able to, for us to be able to take care of one another. So the question is, or not even a question, I'll end it at this. And that is, let's continue to have this conversation
Right.
because a lot of people need to hear it.
Okay. So let me, because other people had their hands up. So I'm gonna bring in Ali. So let's see. All right, there you go, bro. You are unmuted, and then whoever, hold on. All right. Galaxy S9, you have your hand up, but you got to make sure your mic's not, you haven't set, you got to hit the option to allow Zoom to control your mic. So just look at your options so I can bring you in after the brew, and then Shema Yah, I'll bring you in after that. All right, go ahead, Ali.
Shalom, shalom. I appreciate the conversation and also appreciate the sister speaking and what she was feeling. That's a real thing.
Yeah, and that's what I don't mind people coming in with who are against what I'm saying or whatever, because just like the brother Elias said, let's have we're having a conversation in a conducive way on a platform that's efficient in getting all this stuff out. And what you're going to begin to see, you're going to begin to see a pattern, and you might begin to see a rationality on one side and logic on another, and you got to get your emotions aligned. Go ahead, Op. Go ahead and talk.
No doubt. And thank you for that platform. So check it out. The thing is, when we look at the scriptures, we have to look at it completely from Genesis to Revelation. And so at no time was this something that was illegal. And I don't think anybody's saying that, right? In fact,
Right.
you talk about leadership. David was a king. The Most High gave David wives. In fact, he said when he was dealing with Bathsheba, like, look, you had all these women, and now you're looking at Bathsheba. So it's two different things. And I've actually heard Pastor Dow talk on that specific concept. So coming back to Titus 1, which was brought up again, it's the very same concept as the other scripture. These are qualifications. It's very important for people to understand that the New Testament and the Old Testament go together. There is no contradiction. So there is no, look, if you are a leader and a bishop, you're actually the best of us. So the whole concept of men dealing with lust and things like that, here it is. That has to be dealt with no matter what. This conversation is about righteous men. I have daughters, and here's the thing. I would rather them be married to a righteous man than to be struggling with a man who does not fear the Most High or is shaky or lukewarm. And that's the whole part. This concept, this way of life is actually for the woman. And in times of war, like how when she was saying third world countries and things like that, I agree with her. Guess what? This is the situation we find ourselves in here in America.
Wow.
We're in dire straits, right? So when you're coming to the word, like let's say this sister is coming to the word. If you're coming to the word, you need to be covered by someone who is righteous, right? So the bishops, the leaders, the kings and things like that, I want that to be clear and in part of the discussion that, listen, these are the best of us. And the Most High wasn't limiting them and saying, look, you're a bishop. So how does that even make sense? If you're just coming into it, you're kind of shaky, you're this, you're that, but you can have 4 wives, right? But the best of us, you got to have one.
Okay.
Right?
All right. So I appreciate that. And I see Elder Rufus is on here. I got to figure out, I think I know which one he is. And I just want to get his input because, all right, hold on one sec. Y'all just bear with me. Okay, so I think this is you. Elder Rufus, is that you? Go ahead and say something.
Shalom, shalom, my brother.
All right, shalom. And the other brothers who had their hands up, I'm gonna get to you, but Elder Rufus is one of the senior elders in Straightway, so I definitely, because we were talking about Straightway, I definitely want to get his input because I know him to be knowledgeable on this topic. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I'm coming in real late. I'm actually driving up here for Kabir's wedding.
Okay.
And I came in really late on the conversation, so I guess it's a debate, I'm assuming, with a few people.
Well, no, it's not a debate. We were talking about different aspects of community, and this topic came up, and it's a effective, efficient platform to have this discussion in a righteous way, and so we're just going into it, and people are presenting their sides.
Well, there's only one side, and that's the side of the scriptures. And when you go back to the law, you see it clearly there in the law that what we call polygyny or polygamy, whatever you want to call it, multiple wives, is lawful. There's actually laws mandating you to take on another wife. It speaks on a man having more than one wife. If a man has two wives, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the Most High himself had two wives. So it's not really a topic to discuss. You know, just because a person is having a hard time wrapping their mind around what the law says and what the law has permitted, that got nothing to do with reality and real true facts, which the Bible is. So I don't really get what we're talking about. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
so real fast, one of the topic the sister raised up, and then the brother dealt with it, but her thing was that Pastor Dow, and we addressed it for the most part, but she was saying Pastor Dow had pastor is a bishop and can only have one wife, and then the brother said at least one wife, so he clarified it to her. So that was
that word, you have to look behind that word, I believe, and it just means first. And I heard that part of it, and he did a good job explaining it, meaning if you can't lead a family.
All right, your phone skipped a little bit.
Oh, I said, yeah, I heard that part of it, and that brother said that, you know, like I said, that it's here. It means first. I mean, he didn't have a lead life, but you can't lead a family. How you gonna lead a congregation? How you gonna lead an assembly, or what the world calls a church now? So It just makes sense from a biblical standpoint. And why would Paul write anything against what the law permits?
Right.
You can go and read in the law where it's permissible for a man to have more than one wife. Almost all the forefathers had more than one wife. So it don't make no sense for Paul to write something against the law. You know what I mean? So that's really a topic of discussion. You know, people have a hard time wrapping their mind around the scriptures. And you said something, if I'm not mistaken, earlier about the atmosphere being conducive to it. Yeah, community living, coming together, like Acts 2:4 says, that's very conducive for a man to have multiple wives. It really is. Right. And the one brother made another statement that was really good about, we're talking about holy men right here. We're talking about righteous men. So they're not dealing with a lot of the petty things that people that aren't righteous are dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Right. And you know, people that don't have the lack of understanding, that don't really see the benefit of why the Father has set it up this way, they will look at the sex, they will look at what they call the lust aspect. But coming from a man with experience in it, it ain't nothing lustful about it at all. And it's a huge responsibility that a man takes on. Pastor Dow makes a statement all the time to the saints, and he tells them, you know, hey, yeah, polygyny is lawful, but that don't mean it's expedient for you. And 95% of y'all won't participate in polygyny. You just won't. You're not going to be in a position spiritually nor financially to participate in polygyny. But those that are righteous and holy and fit the qualifications, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's a benefit not only to the individual, but to Israel as a whole.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. All right. I appreciate you. And I'll leave you on there. If Elder Rufus, if you have something else you want to bring out, just hit the hand raise button and I'll bring you back in.
All right.
All right. So let's see. All right. Hey, Shalom, can you hear me? Hello?
I think you still got my audio on.
Oh, okay. I think. All right. So let me All right, let me mute that one. Y'all bear with me. All right, and Shema, y'all, unmute your phone. All right, there you go. You can talk. Go ahead.
Shalom Yahoo. One thing that I have a question, because if you look in the book of Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 1,
Mm-hmm.
it says, in that day, which means this is a future prophecy. It says, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by your name and take away our reproach. So with that right there, what kind of reproach are these women going to have so that they take hold of one man like that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like the way I tell people is, look, I was like, we're trying to explain this to you now, but as things begin to unfold, it's gonna become painfully obvious to those women that are married and to the women who are out there by themselves. They're gonna be like, damn, our sisters is out there like that. And a lot of our women, the ones who are truly not selfish, the sisters who are truly not brainwashed by this Babylonian culture, they're gonna come to that realization. But again, it's an awakening. It's a process. So, like me here with spiritual combat, we patient with this thing. It took me time to get all this understanding. So, you know, some of this stuff, like you heard Elder Rufus say, what I try to show people on spiritual combat is you got to wrap your emotions around, you got to align your emotions with the scripture. You can't be trying to align the scripture with your emotions. That's when you have all these, you begin getting all these weird Christian Hebrew doctrines that you have to have a master's degree in theology to understand. And the Most High is not the author of confusion. All right, somebody has a hand up. I'm going to bring you in. Hold on one sec. All right. Brother, unmute your phone. You got your hand up. Unmute your phone. There you go. And go ahead and talk.
All right. That's a very good question. And when you have studied this thing and really get an understanding, when you go back and look at the specific wording of what's said there in the text that Brother quoted in Isaiah, these are specific type of women that the Bible is prophesied about. And when you look at the world today, these women are clearly identified. These are these working type women that said that they won't have no need. They can provide everything they need, their apparel and all of that. You see what I'm saying? Those are things that typically when you want to be covered, the man provides for you. But you got these women out here that have done all these things that the world, the feminist movement, all this stuff has set them up with these lies to do. And they realize that they still can't do a few things. Now everybody look at the reproach part and think, well, just children. But it's deeper than just the children, because the Jezebel spirit is all over these women because of their rebellion. You see what I'm saying? And they're dealing with high levels of witchcraft. This is where I get off at. All right, they're dealing with high levels of witchcraft, and they need to get this rebellion spirit off of them and be covered by a righteous man. So this Jezebel spirit has to be subdued, and only a righteous man is going to be able to do that. I promise you that. Only a righteous man is going to be able to subdue that spirit and get these women to submit in the order, and like the prophecy said, to take on their name. That means they're going to be tied to these men, and they're going to be in covenant with them. So they will be covered properly. You know, but the mindset they have is, we don't need you for that because we put a covering part, you know, when it comes to the clothing and all that other stuff, because we already took care of that. Just take this reproach off of us and look at what these sisters are dealing with as a whole. And see, men in Israel struggle spiritually because, again, they lack spiritual aptitude. They really lack how to dissect and discern what's really going on with these fragmented souls of these sisters that are coming into the way. I mean, a lot of these sisters, let's just keep it real, man. These sisters been turned more than the doors at Walmart, man. How you gonna deal with that spirit when this sister really has a truly repentant heart on her, but she got all these DNA deposited in her and all these different personalities deposited in her? How you gonna spiritually deal with that? So it takes a real strong, spiritually minded man to deal with that. And Pastor Dow, again, I got to use his quotes because they're just potent. Pastor Dow said, in the end, you're going to get all the good brothers with a bunch of good women. And all the sorry pieces of crap, they're going to get all the sorry women. That's what's going to end up happening.
Woo. Well, there's heat coming off that thing. Hey, that's a good word. That's why I want to make sure I brought him on here. All right. I see somebody else has their hand up, so I'm gonna bring you on. Hold on one sec. All right, you're unmuted. Go ahead. You can talk.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Shalom, and I'll give honor to all the elders there online. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wanted to share with you all. I recently listened to a interview by Pastor Dow. I'm not sure if everyone has seen this interview, but I think it would help a whole lot. I listened to it several times. It was so informative. But Pastor Dow, back in 2016, did an interview with a Sister Gina, I believe her name was. Mm-hmm. And I think Elder Rufus was present, and Mother Bullock and another mother. That interview was so informative. It was beautiful dialogue. That sister's spirit just touched my heart. It opened so much of my understanding. I'm a married woman already, but I'm just, I understand. I really understand, and I really think I know that this call is not particularly just about this subject, but since we've seemed to have honed in on this subject, I think it would do a lot of us a lot of good to just go back and listen to the sister, and especially since so many people have so many, apprehensions or whatever with Pastor Dow. Right. If you just listen to this sister talk, right. And I mean,
what's the title of the interview?
It's just called Pastor Dow Interviews Sister Gina, and I can tell you the dates. It's 11/13.
Okay, that's good. I'm gonna
11/13/16. Okay, it's the date, and I just listen to that, and then try to raise. And I mean, I went to the scriptures, and it just made so much sense how to build up Israel with righteous families and keep our land and keep our families. One particular thing that really struck me in that interview was she was speaking about how what Pastor Dow actually said, when you have different communities and different places building up righteous families with different wives or whatever, now our sons and our daughters have people to marry that are righteous. You don't have to worry about your children going out, finding somebody in the world and having to convert them and so forth. And the daughters are being raised in a household, with a righteous man. It was just beautiful. And I just wanted to share that. I found that video, and it really helped me a lot with the polygyny thing.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to share that.
So where is it at?
I found it on YouTube. It's called Pastor Dow Interviews Sister Gina, I believe, 11/13/16. You type that date, and it's not a video. It's an audio. It's a completely audio. It's about an hour and 27 minutes.
Okay, I found it. I got it right here. So I'm gonna put it up here on the screen for y'all real quick. Let's see. All right, there it is right here. Okay. Yeah. The title is there at the bottom. Go ahead, sis. You can keep talking. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, that helped me a lot, and I just wanted to share it. If people have questions, she answers a lot of those questions, and her spirit was so beautiful. It's like I could see myself being in that position with the sister. The sisterhood of those wives was just beautiful.
Right.
So that's all I really wanted to share. I just wanted to share that so people could at least listen to that.
Okay.
So thank you for letting me speak. Shalom.
Okay. All right. Shalom. So yeah, it says Pastor Dow interviews Sister Gina 11/13/16. So there, correct. You can see the title right there at the bottom left. All right, sis. I'll leave you on there. I'm gonna just mute you. And like I said, if just hit the hand raise button. If anybody else, I see there's a bunch of y'all on there. Benjamin Ferguson, did you have something? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, actually, that's my son. He actually, I'm not too computer savvy, but I look at you all the time. I love y'all brothers, and I just had to chime in for once. I'm always in the background on these things, but I see all your taste with the Hebrews, the Negroes, and all that. But let me just say something.
Okay.
I just turned 62 years old in March, and I was born in this truth. For all y'all out there that think that, people just woke up 30 years ago, some of us knew. My grandmother was a Hebrew. My mother was a Hebrew. All my uncles, we were born into this truth, and I've been waiting a long time, many moons. I cry sometimes for my grandmother because, like the prophets say, that, some of them would have wished to have been here, desired to see what I'm seeing now. And let me just give y'all brothers a little bit of faith. I'm going to be real. Don't even worry about this stuff. Elijah, all y'all that's speaking all this righteousness, y'all are righteous brothers. The Father is pursuing to Ezekiel 11:19, Ezekiel 36:26, Jeremiah 31:33, Hebrews 8:10. The Father is going to put his spirit in these women. It's not just going to be the righteous men, but he's going to put the spirit in the women to rebuild his nation. It ain't going to be nothing that these women going to be able to say. Okay? These are the same women that was out there that would be groupies for a singer. 30, 40 of them would throw their panties to a damn singer and wouldn't mind being part of his harem. Okay? And here we got righteous brothers, finally waking up. This ain't by y'all doing. The Most High did this. And they giving y'all a hard time. I'm a woman. I can't have any more children. I went through menopause, and I'm getting real now. Hey, listen. My name is Fatima. And one day I'm going to meet y'all brothers, okay? I've had menopause from the age of 50. Ain't no more babies coming out of me unless Father go back to those spiritual with Sarah, okay? But the Father he's going to want to replenish his nation. And y'all men was able to have children until death. This is nonsense what these women are doing. They're giving your brothers a hard time. Just listen, endure to the end. Do not worry yourself with this mess. Because the Father put y'all over the women, and that's the way it's going to be. Women going to have to get in line, or they're going to fall back. Okay? It's a lot of us women out here. I got hundreds of sisters that is alone and crying for some righteous brothers. They're raising their children on their own. Raising my family. I'm a widow. I got 3 sisters in my family that are widows. Widows. And we all the Israelite Hebrews. We born and raised into this truth. We was fighting a battle 60 years ago. My uncle was put in institution at 13 back in the 40s because he was saying he was a Hebrew. My grandmother was a Hebrew, and she was put almost in a concentration camp because she said she was a Hebrew. See, some of us knew, because listen, the Father couldn't take the truth from everybody, because if he took it from everybody, where would it have came from?
Right.
But, he always had a remnant that always knew who we were. When I was, I don't want to stay on too long because I know you got a lot of people on waiting, but when I was like 12,
stay on long. Keep talking.
When I was like 5, let me give you a little short story. When I was like 5 or 6 years old, where my mother didn't want us to go to any of these Christian camps, we couldn't deal with the pork. We didn't have the Christmases, none of that going on. We kept the high. I'm going back into the 60s now because I'm born in 57.
Okay.
All right. And I mean, I used to be in school fighting with Jewish teachers in the 1st grade. They would be saying, telling me to get up and do the flag. And I'm like, Miss Greenstein, you better get up and do the flag. I'm 5 years old fighting with a 40, 50-year-old Jewish teacher. Back then, it was no Hebrews to be found. And now we finally waking up. I had to go to Jewish camps up in Sussex, New Jersey, when I was 8 and 10. All my brothers and sisters went. And these people was rich back then, living deliciously. And you should have seen the way we were treated, being the only, humans in those kind of camps. These beasts were walking around naked in front of us, and we were little children. And now all of a sudden we waking up. I waited all my life for this. My son, who I called on his line, Benjamin. And another thing y'all brothers got to say, don't say that we can't raise our sons with no man, because his father died when he was little. But let me tell you, I got 2 Hebrew sons here, and they are men. Ain't nothing effeminate about them. They are straight up Hebrew warriors. You hear me?
Right.
And this woman did it. This woman did it. The women in my family, we raised Hebrew men. If you got the spirit of Yah, you could do any damn thing. You hear me? And listen, y'all brothers don't have no fear. Don't bang your heads about it. Y'all ain't got to argue with these women, because y'all is the weight under Yahushua come the men. And the women ain't going to have a damn thing to say about it. So they need to just sit down and be quiet. And if a righteous man come in their life, they better appreciate him and treat him like the king that he is. Because let me tell you, y'all going to get back the kingdom, and it's going to be the way y'all say it's going to be. So all these opinions, hey, let me tell you, don't even worry about it. It's all nonsense. I'm so sick of these sisters with this. They don't want to share. This is selfishness. This is wickedness. This is evilness. You're sharing everything else. This white man got us sharing every damn thing. What don't we share? What aren't we sharing? We sharing everything, but you don't want to share your righteous brother with another sister. You rather see your other sister over there lonely with nobody. Like they just cut off their feelings once, okay, so you got your man, and 2 to 1, that's not your first man. You ain't no virgin. How many virgins are there out there? You got 3 or 4 kids, and a man come in your life taking care of you and your kids by other men, but you don't want to share that man. Really?
Right.
Really? So you done been with other men, but it's just all nonsense. And I had to call in on this. I'm sorry I took up so much of your time.
No.
But I'm just telling.
Hey, that's the mic dropper. That's the show conclusion. I mean, yeah.
I'm telling y'all, brothers, be still and just wait. Just wait.
Hey, look, spiritual combat ain't just a catchy name. We about warfare. And the brothers, my inner circle of ox that I rock with is the inner circle.
Elijah, I love the.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Came in, all of them was on point. Listen, I have Facebook. I'm my group. I started myself. They say women can't teach. My group is Israel, and Awake. And any one of these sisters that don't like what I'm saying, come on and battle with me, because I'm ready. I'll take it on. It's a conversation that I'm not afraid of.
Okay.
And if you think that you can out-scripture me on this, bring it.
Okay.
Bring it. Let's deal with it. So I'm going to say, praise y'all to y'all. Blessings. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. Be a man. Don't worry about these women with the talking lips. Because, hey, let me tell you something. Hey, I'm going to be real. This adult program, they ain't got shit swinging between their legs so they can keep it moving. Okay? Keep it moving. I'm waiting for y'all brothers to take the kingdom. That's what I'm waiting for.
That's what's up.
I'm praying for this day and night for your protection, for us to get the kingdom. So all that other stuff, bless y'all. All praises to the Most High. And let's get the kingdom. All praises. Shalom, brothers.
Shalom, sis. Appreciate you coming on. Hey, look, we took the scriptures, we mopped the floor with it, and then she got in the corners and beat him down for leaving the waxy buildup. We ain't leave. I'm just saying. What I'm gonna do with this, because this thing was this live was like 40. Hold on, almost 3 hours long. But I'm gonna edit it and make it just. It's gonna be one on polygyny. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no hands raised in the call queue. You know, everybody like. They said she broke it down. See, nobody saying nothing really. But anyway, with that said, y'all, I gotta go pick up my daughters from the public school system that we are working hard on getting them out. Hopefully in the next month or so, Koya will be homeschooling our daughters or whatever. Y'all be praying for us. Also, pray for us with this hurricane because we might be evacuating Florida. We just gotta play it by ear, but they're projecting it it looked like they got it heading right for Jacksonville, but we're gonna see. So just be praying on that. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We're gonna continue to have these conversations because they're very productive, as you've seen, and we entertain people who don't agree, but like I said, they're making it pretty obvious. But anyway, with that said, y'all, appreciate y'all. I'm Michael Israel.